sign.
Oh, they put a sign up, huh?
It's
official.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's no other sign.
I'm going to put a sign in front of my house, the best quarterback evaluator in the history of the planet. And then it's just everybody has to go. It's true. And we have to just say that always.
Yeah, there's a sign. See how that is vandalized on your front yard.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, baby. What's up? It's Chris Sims. It's Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Ahmed Fareed is here, and we are ready. Yeah, it's Monday. It's draft week. It's time to get going. Ready? Get yourself ready. We got some barn to go to on Thursday night. Get your IVs in. You get all healthy. Get in shape, okay? Because we got draft night in the barn. We got mock draft today. We got all the good stuff up. I did put a sign in front of my yard that said the best mock drafter around, okay? So it's official. I'm him. I'm him.
We just got to find out if you were the first to do that.
Yeah,
right. And then we'd be a claim that someone else has that. Connor will be in the barn with us. I'm finding this out too. So Connor's going to be there to spend some time and sit.
That's going to be great.
I don't know how we're going to do it because we're usually shoulder to shoulder on your couch. You know, it's a very intimate setting.
Well, exactly. Now, I mean, you're going to be in the middle of two men in the couch. It's going to be even more intimate for you. So you better get ready, okay?
Ping-ponging back and forth here.
Or I'll go in the middle. I don't know how we're going to have to figure that out.
The middle's always the toughest spot with a three-person. This is like the part of TV that people think TV is easy sometimes, right? Talking.
No.
We make it look very hard at times. But when you're that guy in the middle,
right,
you got to like look over there and over here.
I always get that on PFT with Floria. Whenever we have a guest, they put me in the middle, and I go back and forth, and so be it. But yeah, it's not always the easiest doing that.
I mean, I know it's not doing roofs.
Right.
It's not, building homes, digging ditches here. But being in the middle of a three-man paddle, that's got its difficulties.
Definitely. And especially, when it's drinky, smoky, you might make me a little dizzy if I'm in the middle there. So I don't know.
Yeah, if last year's any indication.
Drinky, smoky. So you can count on that.
All right. So you say it is time. It feels like it's been time for a long time. We've gone through all the positions. You've been looking at film with these guys for the last month and a half. But
I'm ready.
You put it together in your mock draft.
Yeah.
And so this is what you think will happen. This is kind of your gut, getting into the brains of the GMs and the teams that are running the draft.
Things that I feel like I've heard through, just the grapevine, senses I'm getting. Again, not that I know what anybody's picking, but just general conversations that you've heard me talk about off air.
Yeah.
And just things that I go, well, I heard this team likes these kind of guys and blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to piece it together that way a little bit. No, it's not necessarily who I would pick. There'd be a lot of second rounders in the first round if it would be who I would pick.
And we've already done that. You listen to the other positional podcast to get your guys.
That's what's great about this draft. So we love round one, and we're going to have a lot of fun with the quarterback talk and all of that, the big-time players, right? But there's also, I think, other themes that they're going to be fun. Like you heard Sean Payton on Friday. He said something we've talked about here a bunch, right? We like some of these second and third round guys in this draft as much as or more than the first round guys. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about that. It seems like for me in a year where I feel like I've written 40 to 60 or 35 to 55 or 50 to 70 like 100 times, and there's only 32 picks in the second round, right? So that's where I think it is going to be fun, let alone the first round, and you never know how that'll shake out, and one or two weird picks, and everything gets thrown on its head. I'll never forget, we're 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, Derwin James, I always come back to this as my example of you never know how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. Anybody I talk to in football, Derwin James, one of the top 5 guys in the draft. I wouldn't shock me if somebody took him at 2 or 3. He's worthy of that pick, right? No way he gets out of the top 10. There's no way that happens. All of a sudden, a few weird things happen, and he's sitting on the board at 18 for the Chargers, right? It's just stuff like that can happen. We know that, and you just never know when it'll hit or who makes that one off-the-board pick that we didn't see coming that shakes it all up.
Or the trade. I mean, a lot of teams probably would love to trade back and get into that 20 to 60 range and get a few more players in that. Probably going to be more difficult, easier said than done.
Here's the big thing, I think, themes of this. First off, how many players are there that are really worthy of trading up for?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I think once we get outside the top 10 or 12, I don't know if there's that many players to start. Like, teams are going to go, let's mortgage the future on this guy, right? So I think there's that aspect. Also, I think with some of the teams in the top 10, they're like, no, we kind of have a need, and, like, these are the top guys here. We want to take this guy. Or there's one other guy we like, but if we trade down too far, we might not get him either. I think there's an aspect of that. And then you've heard my talk about the lineman thing. And that's where another thing I think is going to happen here. Anybody I talk to, as I told you just a little bit ago in my office, right, is everybody seems to think the league, it's a copycat league where they're going to go Philadelphia, the Lions, right? The 49ers the last few years. I know not last year, right? Big front lines, big D lines, big O lines. The Ravens. That seems to be the trend right now. And a lot of people in football, I think, feel that these offensive and defensive line are going to be at a premium in the first round. So we'll see what happens.
It's a weird year, and this is the first in the common draft era that every team still held their original pick in round 1 of the draft at the start of the new league year.
Yes.
So these, I mean, it's just like you don't have multiple first-round picks here, at least not yet. And unless there are big trades that happen, we're not going to have that.
That's right.
For this draft, which is kind of crazy. If round 1 picks are traded before Thursday night, it will be the first time since 2014 that none were traded between the start of the league year and the first night of the draft. And so, and you don't have any trades in your mock draft?
I don't. Well, one, and we'll get into this, right? The quarterback, of course, is a big thing here. Mm-hmm. But here are my 2 cents on the quarterback thing and why I don't know if I think trades are going to happen. One, I get the sense that we all know Cam Ward. Cam Ward's number 1 on everybody's board. I know enough teams in football that Shedeur, Tyler Shuck, and Jaxson Dart have very similar grades. They got similar grades. So if you have the same grade on 3 guys, why do we have to trade up to get one of them? And let me, on top of that, if we have the same grade on 3 guys and none of those grades are really first-round grades, so you're going to tell me you're going to trade future first-round picks and waste 2 first-round picks on a guy that you don't think's a first-rounder? That, to me, is bad business, right? That doesn't make sense. Now, maybe somebody will do it, and we know quarterback and the value of the position, and that all does this. But I get the sense, again, it feels like a year like Kenny Pickett, like Willis, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, that class, where the NFL isn't real hot on these guys. They're kind of letting the public and the media keep talking about them, right? So the guy that we want is still on the board. Hopefully some of these teams are stupid and take these quarterbacks. It feels like that to me. I don't know if I'm right, but that's just my feel.
All right, I don't want to give too much away on this mock before we get into it, and so let's get into it.
Yeah,
let's start right now, and we'll have a chance to kind of analyze some different things as we go. But number 1 pick is the Titans this year. DraftKings has Cam Ward as the minus 20,000 favorite to go number 1 overall. So that means if you bet $20,000 to get Cam Ward number 1, and he went number 1, you'd get $1.
Wow.
So that'd be great.
Wow.
$1 you didn't have before.
$100.
Oh, $100?
You don't know how to gamble, so you got to write those specifics in for Almond, but it's $100.
Sorry.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
$100.
It's always based to $100.
Either way. Okay, $100.
Right? Yes.
All right, go have fun with that $100. You only had to risk $20,000.
Yes.
So they seem fairly certain that Cam Ward is going to go number 1, and you are as well?
I am as well. Cam Ward's going to the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward is he's a special talent that fits any scheme, can make any throw. They're a team that needs somebody for the future that they can get the fan base rallied behind. They're going to open up a new stadium. He is the type of guy to be the superstar that can be that polarizing person for the franchise where everyone's like, man, we got him. Look at his arm. Look at his playmaking. Holy sidearm throw, all of that. So, yeah, I think this is a no-brainer here.
Okay, so that's easy. And we're going to discuss as we go here, where does the draft actually start? Because number 2 pick, we've heard the name Travis Hunter out there a lot. DraftKings has him as the negative or the minus 900 favorite to go number 2 overall. Travis Hunter number 2 for you?
Yeah, Travis Hunter number 2 for me. I mean, it's again a 2-1, and I think the most important thing for the Cleveland Browns is they get a receiver that I think they need. Now, listen, they could throw everything off. I thought about Abdul Carter, right? Yeah. I mean, you've heard me say, man, pairing Abdul Carter with Myles Garrett, like, wow, that sounds kind of special to me. But I don't get the feel that they're going to do that. I get the feel that they're an analytics football team, and they're looking at Travis Hunter, and they're like, wait, the analytics on both sides of the ball are really good here, right? They got some decisions they're going to have to make in their secondary here before it's all said and done with Newsome and Ward's getting up there a little bit in age, and the other damn corner from Mississippi State that Emerson, that I'm blanking on his name there. So they can't pay all those guys going forward. He also will help that as well. Yeah, I think it's going to be Travis Hunter there at pick number 2.
So they've talked a little bit about hypothetically what they would do with a guy like this, play him at wide receiver, play him at corner. It's been well chronicled. He wants to do both in the NFL. I think we have the depth chart for the Browns, wide receiver and corner. From what you've heard from the Browns, what do you think the plan is with a guy like Travis?
Well, they were one of the first teams that came out like right at the combine. They were sitting behind me and Florio as we were doing the show and doing interviews, where they came out, Andrew Berry, and was like, no, we evaluate him as a receiver, right? That's our thing that we think he's best at. And I think that's exactly where they're going to do it too. Again, I look at that and go, hey, they're a team that needs offensive playmakers. Jerry Jeudy's really good, but I don't think he's a superstar 1. You know that. I think he's a real good 2. Cedric Tillman, real good player, good size. Don't know if I feel like he's a 2. He's maybe a 3, but you get Travis Hunter in here and you go, oh, we got a 1, 2, 3. That's pretty damn good, coupled with David Njoku, and watch out. So that's where I think you like that fit and everything going on from there. He's a hell of a football player, as we know.
Will be a story. Will be interesting to watch in Cleveland. Number 3, your New York Giants are on the clock.
Yeah, buddy. And this is what I'm hoping for, and this is what I feel is going to happen. So I'm not doing this through hope, but yeah, here we go. Abdul Carter, sign it up. Yes, they got a chance here. Kayvon Thibodeau's done a solid job, but he hasn't lived up to the number 5 pick in the NFL draft by any stretch of the imagination. Abdul Carter, as we've waxed poetically a bunch about him, he's special. That's why we called it Carter's Comment. There's only a few guys like him that come around every so often. He's a once every 5 or 6 years type of guy. He's special. His explosiveness, his speed is really rare and elite for his size, and his physicality and the way he throws his body is also really rare and elite. I just don't think you turn down the opportunity for this player. And now you can go, wait, we have a lot of pass rushers for this year, but we don't have to give Kayvon Thibodeau the 5th-year option, and he's gone for next year, or they decide to keep him and maybe trade him right now in the offseason. I don't know, but the prospects of Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Dexter Lawrence all on the same D-line together going forward, I would go, watch out. That's a special D-line. That seems like New York Giants D-line that I grew up around.
He is minus 650 to be the number 3 overall pick, so overwhelming favorite. Still some chatter out there that the Giants might be looking at quarterbacks.
Well, I know, and they worked out Shedeur Sanders this past weekend, so we know that's on their radar. And will the pressure of the public and everybody, and we need a quarterback, and Shedeur and who he is and how famous he is, will the Giants buckle under that? I don't think they will. I don't. I think they're working out him and some of these other guys because they go, wait, they might be there at the end of the first round, early second, so let's get a look on them from there. That's what it feels like to me, but we'll see. And I don't know. You're right. And we don't know with quarterbacks. A lot of the times it can be very dicey. Ownership can get involved with that type of thing and go, wait, no, I want the guy. I want him. I don't care about what the team is right now. We need somebody for the future, but I don't feel like that's the Giants type of move at number 3.
So far, this is the way that you think the draft will go, but it is also, I believe, the way you would do it if you were the GM of all these teams.
I think
right? Cam, Hunter, Carter.
I think so at this point. The Browns would be the tough one because I would seriously consider Abdul Carter, pairing him with Myles Garrett. But yes, I think as I sat here right now, this would probably be how I would do it as well.
So pick 4 may be where we depart from where you would be.
This is the interesting one.
Patriots on the clock.
I'm going to get Will Campbell. They've made a lot of investments in their football team and free agency, right? Some people might believe they took a risk in overpaying Milton Williams or whatever. I don't believe that, but damn, they're really freaking good. But they need an offensive lineman. They need a tackle specifically. And that's where I got Will Campbell going. But as you know, and as I think a lot of the people in the league think, they're not really sure he's made to be a left tackle. We had Orlando Brown on here who he said, like, hey, I see it, but there's things to question, right? So what I came to at the end of the day here with this one is just when Will Campbell is, first off, like a can't-miss prospect on the O-line. He's going to work somewhere. I think he's made to be a guard. If they think he can be a tackle, but the other aspect of this is I feel like he's just a Vrabel guy. He's got a Vrabel type attitude. He's a roughneck. I mean, he's tough. He's physical. He likes beating people's ass into the ground, and that feels like a Vrabel type of thing. And that's kind of some of the guys he had at Tennessee. So I'm going to say that, yes, within the culture and the player, they go here, Will Campbell.
He's got a little bit of an edge to him.
He definitely does. I mean, you hear him talking.
You ask him about his short arms. He don't like that. He don't like to talk about short arms.
He's got a lot of press little clips from even during the season when he talks about certain teams and the way he plays. Like, you could tell there's a real nastiness to him. And, yeah, I think Mike Vrabel is going to like that a lot. It's just we question the guard tackle thing.
Yeah.
And they need a little bit more of a tackle. And I thought about, should we get one of the more traditional tackles and put him here? But when it came down to it, I just went, no, this seems like a Vrabel drafted Skoronski, right, when he was there.
Oh, sure.
Right? It seems like that type of guy. He had Jack Conklin when he was there. They let him go in free agency to the Cleveland Browns. But, yeah, I do feel like this would be the kind of guy he would like.
He is minus 450 to go number 4 overall, Will Campbell, the offensive lineman from LSU. Jaguars now on the clock. This one's more of a coin flip. So this one,
what's the public thinking right now with this one?
Right now, it is Mason Graham from Michigan is the minus 115 favorite to go number 5 overall. But Ashton Jeanty is plus 250, Jalon Walker plus 550, Armand Membou is plus 600, the offensive lineman, the tackle that you like a little bit better.
Yes, I like him at tackle better. Yes, exactly right. All right, so I go Mason Graham here at number 5. I feel like, first off, they drafted a tackle first round last year. They have Walker Little, who's a second-round pick from 2021, and he played well last year. He's not the issue. I think they tried to address their interior part. I think they tried to address O-line in free agency. It was what my spidey senses tell me. And getting Robert Hainsey, getting Patrick McCarry, right? Yeah, already have Ezra Cleveland there at one guard. So I feel like they're going to be like, okay, that. The Ashton Jeanty, I've been hearing that. I've heard people saying that. But they also have, Travis Etienne and Tanks Bigsby, who are pretty damn good players, where I just go, I don't know if I buy in that. This is one of the worst defensive run-stopping teams in football last year. They don't really have a D tackle that you look at to go, ooh, I think he can make some plays and be a difference maker. So, I'm going to go Mason Graham here because I think it's the most desperate need for them. And this is this is one where it's like desperate need, and this is the best guy at the position. And that, to me, says Mason Graham. And Mason Graham is a guy, not only is going to help in the run game, but he can really pass rush off the edge and do that as well. So, I'm a big fan of his, and I think that makes sense for them.
He's your number 1 defensive tackle. He's off the board now. Your number 1 edge off the board with Carter. Your number 1 wide receiver and Hunter off. Cam Ward off. Your number 1 quarterback. All right, well, we double up on a position.
Well, this is
here.
where, again, you start to see, like, some of these teams have these needs, and it's like their number 1 guy, and you just go, I don't know if I see trades happening here unless something unforeseen happens.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we sit here and go, wait, the Browns took somebody else, the Giants took Travis Hunter, and now maybe Abdul Carter's on the board at 4. And it's like, whoa, does somebody call the Patriots? It's like, hey, we'll trade a boatload of stuff to get up to 4 because we want him. But as it goes right now, it was actually weird doing this exercise because you get done with the first 5 picks and you kind of go like, it just feels chalk.
It's too easy.
Like it's too easy. It can't be this easy, can it? But that's what I feel right now.
They're tricking us. Now, there were 5 trades last year in round 1. There were 6 the year before, 8 the year before that.
Yes.
And so it does seem inevitable, like we will get some.
I know. But 2014 wasn't that long ago, and we didn't have a trade then.
None in 2014.
So, that's right.
All right, the Raiders on the clock, number 6. The favorite, according to DraftKings, is Ashton Jeanty, a running back going off the board at number 6.
It makes sense. Ashton Jeanty, every mock draft I see is the Raiders, Ashton Jeanty from the start of time, the first mock draft of the year, and I can't see, and nobody gets off of it.
Yep.
I'm not buying it. I just, first off,
this is why people are saying it. The rushing attack last year was terrible.
I hear that. Now, what did we say about the running back class in general? It's deep. It's deep. Okay, the other thing I'm going to come into here, all right, is John Spytek just came from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where they drafted middle-round running backs who have become awesome. Bucky Irving, Rashad White, Sean Tucker from Syracuse, right? So now the GM who's kind of been taught, let's build the offensive line and we'll find running backs. Now we're going to go, he's going to say, the O-line, and let's just get the running back? I don't know. That doesn't. And then we got Tom Brady involved in the conversation, who came from New England and came from Tampa Bay, where there was running back by committee. We don't need one bell cow superstar guy, right? Let's disperse our wealth throughout the football team. The way they've talked about it, they've been so upfront about it, I don't buy it. I told you before the show, you look at the Friday press conference, so when they start to ask about the running back, like, it felt like Pete Carroll was kind of acting a little bit. Like, he was like, hey, be careful now. And then they start to talk about Ashton Jeanty, right? Like, to me, it just, I don't know. I'm throwing the BS challenge flag on it. I am.
You think they hope that someone likes Ashton Jeanty so much?
I think they know that he's one of the marquee offensive players in the draft, and they're going, we're going to take him. We're going to take him, hoping that one of these teams goes, there's only a few marquee offensive guys that go in the first round. Let's go get that guy. I think that's what they're doing. I don't know.
All right.
And because of that, I've gotten to go Membou.
They get 3 picks.
They took everybody. The whole O-line is addressed, all right? But Armand Membou, excuse me, all right?
Yeah.
They take him. I look at them as a football team, and I go, their right tackle is below average, and DJ Glaze. Colton Miller is getting up there a little bit. This is a guy that, yes, could play right tackle, could play left tackle, certainly when that time comes. But either way, he's one of the best tackles in the draft. And I just feel like with this football team and, hey, we want to dominate the line of scrimmage, Pete Carroll, I feel like that's more of a pick than them going running back, or more of a thought they would have than going running back. And they can get a running back. Like I said, I think R.J. Harvey is worth a second-round pick. If not, there's going to be good ones there in the third round to get. There will be. And I just don't imagine them going Jeanty at 6.
And you like Membou as a tackle.
I like Membou. I mean, just like Orlando Brown. Say it again. What were we going to say?
You didn't rank your guys 1 through 5, right? We didn't make you do that.
As a pure tackle, he'd have been my 1.
Your number 1.
Right. Him or Josh Simmons, you heard me wax poetically about them, right? Simmons, the injury helped me. But I think, yes. And when it comes to the pass protecting, yeah, I thought he and Simmons were clearly the best, and I thought Membou was the best one. So, yeah, because of all that, I'm going him there. And I think the Raiders start with their physicality and being big up front and winning the line of scrimmage.
So that makes things a little interesting, because now the Jets are on the clock, number 7 overall, and DraftKings actually has them taking Membou.
Everybody
as
does.
the favorite.
Right.
So now maybe he's off the board.
I don't even know why we do a draft this year. It seems like the first 10 have been in stock, and 2 smoking barrels forever. Yeah. Like, it's just been like, here's the top 10. We're all going to copy each other in the mock draft. Here's the top 10.
So now reality is happening, and the Jets. So now do they pivot? Do they go off offensive line altogether? What do you think?
Well, I still think offensive line's the biggest need on their football team. Hey, we could say all we want about the pass regime and everything like that. The one thing you will not hear me say is that that personnel department made a bad team. Joe Douglas, I feel bad for him, because it's still, when you look at their freaking team, you go, damn, there's a lot of good players. But I think in their heart of hearts, yes, we hear Tyler Warren a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. But I come down to it still, and I think O-line's going to be the play here. Aaron Glenn, coming from Detroit, that group, everybody he's with there, yes, I feel like they've replicated what Detroit did the first time around anyways, when Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, let's get a quarterback that not everybody wants, Jared Goff, and we'll make him into something. They're doing that with Justin Fields. They're trying to keep quiet. They're going to be a believer in big people up front. And, yeah, I don't think they're going to go the tight end route. I'm going to have them go Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas, right, at right tackle. At the very least, he could play guard or tackle, but I think he is ready for tackle. I do. And I think he starts there. And now you look at them and you go, damn, they got him. They got Olu Fashanu. They got Elijah Vera Tucker, Joe Tippmann. And you start to go, that's a pretty damn good O-line. I think that's what Aaron Glenn's going to replicate. I'm going to go with that thought there.
So Pete has put in a rundown. Last year, they took Fashanu, as you mentioned.
Right.
They passed up on Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers had one of the best, if not the best, tight end season that we have ever seen. So they pass up on Tyler Warren again? A tight end again?
Listen, I thought about it. I did. My thing here, a little in my thought process too, is just that the way the draft could fall out, you could have some really good tight end. There's going to be a good tight end, I think, available at the top of the second round if they really want to do that. you can't say the same about, I'm not sure there's going to be a starting tackle there, right? So that's where I could certainly see, we know Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland to go in the first round, but Mason Graham, the kid from Bowling Green, right? I think they could be there when the Jets pick in the second round, and they could do that then. Let alone, I'm not exactly sure how they feel about their tight end and Ruckert right now anyways. I'm not sure, but I just feel like this is more of their move. And I'm going to go with the O-line and go with that they believe in big people like Detroit and like we've seen them do.
And we've seen it before. It's your third offensive lineman off the board now in the top 7 picks. And, we've seen that before. We could see it again. Number 8, the Panthers now up.
Well,
if they want an offensive lineman, they're going to have the 4th available.
Yeah.
Probably not going to go there.
Well, no, the Panthers are up. And here's one where, again, I don't agree with this.
What do you mean?
I don't agree with this player and what who I'm going to have them taking.
Okay.
But I feel the consensus is, and this is, to me, one of the weirdest guys in the draft. Because I know a ton of people, as I've told you, too, to where I go, when I talk about Jalen Walker, who I have going to the Carolina Panthers at number 8 here, right? It's very mixed bag. People are always like, well, I've never seen a pass rusher in the top 10 6'1". Like, what? Is that what we're doing here? Right? And you better have a plan for them. I mean, that's the things I hear from the NFL. And then it's a little bit, again, too, some of the first things out of people's mouth when I talk about it is the leader, the worker, all of that. Which I hate when those are the first things out of your mouth about. I want to go, wait, I don't want to talk about that as the first thing about my top 10 pick.
He's a good guy. Get him off my team.
Right. I want to hear his talent on the field, and then you can second that with the attitude and culture fit. But they need defense there. They do. And with this kind of pick in Jalen Walker, okay, I will say it kind of addresses 2 and 1 for them a little bit. Yeah, it gets them a pass rusher. They also could use a stand-up linebacker. He can do all that. E.J. Evero kind of has that chaos type of defense where they just move people around and do a lot of different stuff. And I can see him having a plan for Jalen Walker, so I'm going to go with him there.
They could use an edge, right? Ashawn Robinson,
yeah.
Jadeveon Clowney led Carolina in sacks last season, 5.5 each.
They definitely can use an edge. Would they take somebody else there at that spot? I don't know.
I mean, would if it were you.
I would.
So if it was Chris Sims, the GM of any of these teams, so Walker is minus 900 to go in the top 10. So it seems fairly certain he'll be off the board, at least by the Bears, if not before then. Where would you be comfortable taking a guy like Jalen Walker? Where's his value to you?
To me, like more down like in the 20s.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I.
Which I think is good perspective because a lot of these times, people are like, why don't you like Jalen Walker? You do like Jalen Walker.
Yes.
You just don't like him top 10.
No, and I don't know how to use him, and I don't like that question. Right? I've learned that a little bit. You self-scout thyself. Oh, I like this athlete. He does everything good. Yeah, but he doesn't do anything really good, right? Yeah. So that's a problem. It's like back to our Isaiah Simmons thing, right? Who I love coming out in the draft.
Yeah.
He'll be able to do this. He'll be able to do that. He'll be able to do this. Yeah, he can do them all, but he doesn't do any of them very good. None of them are at a high level. And that's what I worry about here. And again, it's an interesting player, but yeah, I would want him down the line a little bit.
Chances are he does go in the first round. Maybe he'll go number 8 to Carolina. So let's recap now. We've gone 1 through 8 here. We've done it much quicker than they will on Thursday at the actual draft, but that's okay. So here is 1 through 8 with Cam Ward, your number 1. We got Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, Mason Graham, Membou, Banks, and then Jalen Walker.
Yep.
So, all right, I like that. There's the 8. Take a screenshot of that. That will be the draft coming up.
Answer key.
That's the answer key, which we say every year. Let's get into number 9 here because this is interesting.
This is where we go. Right.
This is where things could turn.
Right.
Your whole thing about quarterbacks and they're all second-round guys.
This is where it is.
The Saints are on the clock.
Saints are on the clock, right? Ryan Ramczyk just retired. I think some people think, will they maybe go offensive line? I don't think so. I mean, they have 3 first-rounders and a second-rounder on their own line, as it is. Their 2 tackles, as we sit here right now, are both first-round picks. I don't think they're going to go O-line here. Now, the quarterback thing is the question, right? Is the quarterback. And Derek Carr and the injury and all of that, which I know a lot of people in the league don't really think it's as serious as maybe he let on. It's a little bit of a political power play, right, that's going on there. Now, do I think they love Derek Carr for the future and want him to be the man forever? No, I don't. But I also sit here and go, wait, just because of that, your first year, are you going to tie yourself to a quarterback that you necessarily don't love if you're Kellen Moore, but just go, well, we need a quarterback, so I'm going to get one. I'm going to get one that I don't love, but now I'm going to be stuck with him here, and we're going to be talked about in the same boat all the time, all together for the next 3 or 4 years? No, I don't think it happens. And I'm just going to tell you, like, I have yet to talk to anybody that just goes, oh my gosh, yeah, Shedeur Sanders, top 10. There's people in football that think the Saints are desperate and they might take him, but I don't know anybody that has that type of grade on him. I don't know anybody. And then, like I've told you and I've said to the audience here, when I hear multiple teams who all go, Dart, Shuck, Sanders are all in the same boat, some people got Shuck over Jaxson Dart, that's when I just sit here and go, well, no, I don't think that's going to happen. They're not that desperate to take the guy here. I don't see it happening. I go with Jihaad Campbell, Alabama. Linebacker. One, they need it. I mean, Demario Davis, as great as he's been, he's 97 years old playing middle linebacker. Not really. I'm just having fun. And
36,
he's my buddy, and he knows that. So that's why I'm saying that about him.
Former buddy.
Yeah, former buddy until he kicks my ass and I see him. But no, he really is. He is my buddy. And, yeah, I think this is the perfect guy to go, wait, learn from Demario, let alone Jihaad Campbell we talk about Jalen Walker. I want to go, he's got a better first step than Jalen Walker. He's a bigger person than Jalen Walker. He's got better bend than Jalen Walker off the edge. He's a better middle linebacker than Jalen Walker. I have gotten the sense, and I know I've told you this too, that Jihaad Campbell is viewed higher than the draft public is viewing him. I'm having him go here number 9 to the New Orleans Saints. No quarterback off the board yet other than Cam Ward.
Shedeur Sanders is the favorite, but it's plus 215, so it's not odds-on favorite.
That says something to you too there, right. I don't know. He doesn't seem like a Kellen Moore guy. I don't know why I say that. I don't feel that, but I could be wrong.
Jihaad Campbell is minus 2,000 to go in round 1, but he is minus 200 to go after pick 18.5. So it seems like they've locked him into later in the first round, but you're hearing some things that the NFL likes him. It likes him as an edge guy. It's not, you look at the linebacker.
The Bengals and Orlando Brown talk about Jihaad Campbell.
100%.
Right? You know? So what were you going to say? The linebacker?
Well, you see linebacker, right? Yeah. You see linebackers like running backs have been devalued. You don't take a linebacker or running back in the top 10, but he does more than just
exactly.
LB does not describe Jihaad Campbell.
No, and he's a special one at that. It's special, and yes, he can do a lot of stuff, and we know with these multiple defenses and moving people around and doing all that, when you could play pass rusher and stand up middle linebacker and be really damn good at both, there's a lot of value in that.
LB off the board. Speaking of RBs, still not one taken so far. A lot of people have linked Ashton Jeanty to the Bears if he does make it this far. Tyler Warren also plus 350. As the co-favorite to Jeanty to go to the Bears at number 10. What do you got?
I got it. Ashton Jeanty. I didn't intend for this to happen, right? I don't try to go into this with any preconceived thoughts. I'm not like, I'm going to put him there. Like, I try to do it legit, what I think's going to happen. I look at the needs and do all that, right? You know, so does the need fit? Or is the best player available so much greater than the need? Maybe they take the best player available, right? I know everybody always has this conversation about, do you draft need or do you draft best player available? I'm a best draft need guy. I'm a draft need guy. I would tell you that all the way. Unless we got to a spot, right, where you go, wait, we need a tackle. None of our good tackles are here on the board or anything like that. It's way down. But, man, this guy's on the board. And we don't have a desperate need here, but the grade is so great. Okay, maybe you take the best player available there, right? But more times than not, if I was a GM, I'd be looking to trade down. And that's the way I was brought up. It's the way I was taught in New England. New England was not taking the best player available. They were draft for need. That's why Bill Belichick traded down all those years.
Because the guy we need the value is not good
not
right
there.
Here.
So we're going to trade down, and I'll pick three guys we need at that position and figure out which one's the best 40 picks later or whatever, right? And I'm a believer in that.
That's interesting because draft for need has gotten such a bad rap.
I know
I feel like most GMs are publicly draft best available. And that makes so much sense, right?
I know.
Of course. Why would you not take the best available
I think a lot of them are full of shit, though. I think a lot of them just say that for public. I think they say it so people think they'll always take the best player, but they don't want to do that. I think that's something they said, like in New England. They taught me, like, hey, just tell people we draft best player available. And that's not what they believed, right? Oh, if the other team says they love them, tell them you love them too and just join on so they all think we love them so we can get the guy we want, right? There's a lot of BS talk in that world. And I'm not trying to say it's bad.
Right.
It's doing what you got to do for the best of business, right? And that does go on. And I don't always buy that when people go, oh, I just take best player available, right?
Yeah.
Like did the Lions take best player available? I don't. Was Jack Campbell the best player available? No. They needed him. He fit it. That's what they did. Jahmyr Gibbs, I feel like he could do the same thing. Oh, maybe we could have got him later on in the draft. They thought he was the best right there. Let's take him. Boom. Let's go. We need it.
It makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. It's a good conversation.
It makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So the Bears.
Oh, sorry, I got to get back to that.
The Bears get. Well, no, I'm processing. If this were to happen, your number one running back goes to my guy, who is Benedict Johnson. We have changed his name. Now the head coach of the Chicago Bears has a weapon at running back, and so that will be fun to contend with as a Lions supporter.
I'm going to go with that. Yeah, I mean, again, this is a team that I think is going to be into running the football. I thought about maybe going an edge guy here. I did. Mm-hmm. I thought but they did sign Odiengbo, right, from the Colts. I think they're going to play him at the edge, Montez Sweat at the other edge. And then I go, hey, Ben Johnson, he's all about offense. I think their O-line is okay. I know everybody looks at Braxton Jones at left tackle. He played okay last year. I know he's going into a contract year. But I don't think that just means, we got to draft a left tackle. I think this is just Jeanty will be too good to pass up here, and they go with him, and you say, watch out with that offense in Chicago.
All right, number 11, your 49ers are on the clock.
I know.
Your buddy,
Kyle
Shanahan.
They told me who they're taking here.
This is the one we will get right, so this is guaranteed to be correct. Number 11 pick for the 49ers. The DraftKings favorite position group is either a defensive tackle or an edge guy.
Yeah.
That's plus 145.
That's what I believe they would do.
Okay.
And again, if anybody thinks that Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch have told me anything about what they're going to pick, you're crazy, okay?
And if they did, and if you said it, it would probably be the last time.
It would be.
It one and done.
Right. So, yeah, I think they want to go O-line or D-line. That would be my thoughts with them. And I wouldn't think it's crazy. I mean, they could go O-line here. I'm going to go with the fact of they started that 49er dynasty with a great defensive line. That's what got them going. And especially with edge pass rushers. And this is where I'm going to go Shemar Stewart. Again, I don't know, but Shemar Stewart has the size, the measurables, everything that I feel Shanahan or John Lynch would like coming off the edge. And with Robert Saleh and going, holy cow, we let this guy get wide and just get after the quarterback, watch out. He's got measurables like a Myles Garrett. We talk about, there's not production, right? We're sitting here telling you, no, disruption is production. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, it'll take a coach that feels confident in their job and a GM that are confident in their job to take Shemar Stewart, who only had 1.5 sacks, right? Well, I think these two guys are pretty confident they're not going to get fired this year. So I'm going to go Shemar Stewart, who I believe is the second best edge pass rusher in this draft.
He's your number 2, and he would be if this were to happen, he would be the number 3 edge guy off the board. And so this is a rise for Stewart. We've already seen the rise for him at the combine, what he did, and some of the stuff, the traits that stood out. And so he goes 11 in your mock draft to the 49ers. So now the Cowboys are on the clock. DraftKings thinks they are most likely to take a wide receiver, and if they don't do that, offensive lineman.
If
they don't do that, corner. If they don't do that, defensive lineman or edge.
I don't see corner. I mean, the secondary is one of the strengths of their football team. I mean, Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs, I don't know, last time I checked, that's a pretty good duo right
work
there.
Our way up. Offensive line would be next most likely.
Offensive line is definitely something I could think about here. Yeah, I mean, I definitely went back and forth here.
But they have wide receiver as the most likely.
And listen, I went there too. I did. Now, my thought here was I think there's going to be some really good receivers when they pick in the second round still on the board. My guy Kyle Williams, my guy Jalon Noel. I think they're all going to be there. Mm-hmm. And I'd go, I like, you know me, I like them better than the Ohio State kid, the Texas kid, or the Arizona kid anyway. So, but Omarion Hampton is where I think they go here.
Running back North Carolina.
They need an offensive playmaker, a guy right now that can do something for them. He's special at this position. Brian Schottenheimer is famous for his run game speciality and his ability to run game block and game plan that way. I think they go running back. I think they address the receiver thing in the second, maybe even third round. Again, that's a pretty deep class there this year, so there's guys to be had. But I think this is just too good of a player to pass up. This is one of the elite, guaranteed, safe bet offensive first-rounders that can contribute to your team right away. I go Omarion Hampton.
And they've been looking for a running back for a while here.
Right.
And if this were to happen, our friend Chris Johnson would have to take you out for a steak dinner.
Oh, that's right.
You bet a steak on whether Omarion would be a first-round pick or not. He liked the talent. He just didn't know the team
that would take him. So just remind me of that Thursday night. We'll make a special video for CJ2K.
Well, we should FaceTime him in to the whole show.
Yeah, that would be fun, actually.
So now this mock is getting interesting, right?
Yeah.
We got 2 running backs off the board now. Jeanty and Hampton are gone.
Yep.
We're just to pick 13.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are on the clock here. DraftKings thinks they are going to take an offensive lineman, or if they don't do that, they think they will take a corner.
I get that thought, and I think those are the 2 spots. It's secondary and offensive line. I feel like when I look at it, I feel like they're trying to live with the offensive line they have. Okay? There's still Austin Jackson there, who's a first-round pick from 2020. The kid at left tackle, Patrick Paul, shows promise. They drafted him in the 2nd round last year out of Houston at tackle. They got some guys inside. They just signed James Daniel at guard as a free agent, right? Liam Eichenberg's been playing there and going to play guard too. Brewer, the center. So I feel like they tried to do all line in free agency so they could do Will Johnson at corner at pick 13.
Out of the University of Michigan.
Yes. Will Johnson, along with Travis Hunter, I think are widely considered the 2 best DBs in the draft. And Will Johnson is, I think in some teams view the guy like, hey, we need the lockdown man-to-man guy. Like, we like Travis Hunter. He can do a lot of things in the second, but like, I need a guy out here who can cover like the number 1 receiver and we could feel good about it. I think he's the number 1 guy as far as that's concerned on everybody's board. I think they need it, and he'll be damn good at it.
So this would be the first corner off the board if you don't include Travis Hunter as a corner, more of a wide receiver for him. He was your number 1 corner as well when you looked at all the film of these guys. Now, normally, I mean, you like the guys who are burners, and on tape it looked like Will Johnson is a burner. Injured at the end of the year, still has not run his 40. Does that worry you at all?
I mean, a little, but not really, because his tape doesn't, again, to me, it's like, does he run 4.36 or does he run 4.4 flat? Yeah. That's what we're talking about. And I'm fine with either one. And especially, again, I'd love 4.35 and 4.32. That's what I think a lot of the great corners need to be. But he has acceleration of a 4.32 type of guy when he comes out of breaks. His ball skills are phenomenal. And then the size is a skill, as we always talk about.
Yeah.
His ability to stick on to bigger receivers, not let them push him off, bump him around, I think is all going to be a plus in the NFL. Yeah, he's one of the safer picks in the draft, in my opinion.
Pete wants to know, does this mean we could see a Jalen Ramsey draft night trade?
Well, certainly. I mean, that's got to be up in the air there. Now, how that goes down, his contract, how much they're willing to pay, all of that. Yeah, but I think I look at that and go, they got questions at the position anyways, let alone Jalen Ramsey doesn't want to be there anymore. So, yeah, I think that also leads into this whole logic, right?
All right, so Will Johnson off the board, your first corner exclusive that doesn't also play wide receiver. 14,
yeah.
The Indianapolis Colts are now on the clock.
I think this would be their dream come true. I mean, this is like, I had people at the combine asking me this, right? They were like, the Colts need a tight end. Will Tyler Warren be there at number 15? And I kind of was like, I don't know if he will be. I think he might be off the board by then. But here I go. And I know maybe the Jets could take him. Some people think the Bears will, which I don't understand because I just go, well, they got Cole Kmet. He's pretty damn good tight end. Do we really need another one to go along with that? I don't know if I buy that. But those are 2 teams that he certainly could go off the board earlier than I expect. The Colts, though, with Shane Steichen, that offense, they got a good O-line, okay? This guy can block. And then, of course, whether it's Daniel Jones or Richardson, keeping a little, oh, wait, I faked to Jonathan Taylor. Now I'm out in the flat, and I got, Michael Pittman Jr. and Pierce downfield. And, underneath is this big crazy tight end who catches the ball for 5 and turns it into 15 or 20 every time he does it. And we saw when Shane Steichen had Dallas Goedert in Philadelphia, it was a special combination. I think they go with that here. Tyler Warren's the pick 15, Colts.
There's probably going to be a prop bet out there. Who's going to make the first pass for the Indianapolis Colts this year? Is it going to be Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson? I'd put a couple bucks on Tyler Warren out there. I mean, imagine that. We saw it at Penn State. Oh, my gosh.
That would
You'd
be
make
amazing.
a killing. Now, this is not betting advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, but it's just a thought that I had. So
I hear you.
The Colts get their dream scenario in Tyler Warren, 15. The Falcons are on the clock. Last year at this time, we were saying, they're going to take Dallas Turner, edge 8, lock it in. It seemed like one of the picks that was most certain of anything. And we all know what happened when Michael Penix's name was read. So you got the Falcons here, still a need at edge a year later.
Yeah, it is. You look at them, you go, maybe could they use another corner? Would that make sense? I think you could sit here and you could also go D-tackle. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think it's a crazy thought here. Offensively, I look at them and go, they don't really need anything offensively that I go this desperate in the first round. To me, the most glaring thing on their team is pass rusher. That's what it is. I know they got Leonard Floyd. They signed him free agent. He's a real good player. He's not your 10, 12 sack a guy that you're 12, 10 sack a year guy that you're going to think of that way. He's great to have on the edge and does a lot of good things. Ebikide, right, from Penn State a few years ago in the second round in 2022. Again, a solid player, but nobody's offensive coordinators in fear when they're going, oh, no, these guys are coming off the edge. Mike Green, Marshall, right, one of the most gifted pass rushers in this draft, athletic, can run around, do different things on this defense, and let alone he's just a hell of a player. You know, I've kind of said I compared him to Leonard Floyd, I think, coming out in our draft process a little bit, except I think he has better pass rush skills than Leonard Floyd. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Falcons here.
A lot of people like Mike Green. He is a 1,400 favorite to go in round 1. Atlanta has not drafted a defender, though, in round 1. Since 2020. It's been a bit.
A.J. Terrell?
A.J. Terrell.
The corner.
Last 4 years has gone Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, then Michael Penix. And these are all top 10 picks.
Yeah,
too.
and they took a lot of linemen like in the first few rounds the last few years, offensive linemen. I think this is the year. We got down the stretch of the year, and who on Atlanta is going to make a play other than Jesse Bates, right? I mean, that's kind of what it felt like. Jesse Bates, is he going to make an interception? If he doesn't, who else will? They need somebody like this that can change the game a little bit. Mike Green can do that.
So now we go to the Cardinals. Before we take a break, they're on the clock at 16 overall. DraftKings thinks they're most likely to take a defensive lineman. If they don't do that, they think they will take an offensive lineman.
A defensive lineman wouldn't shock me. The fact that they got Dalvin Tomlinson, they got Calais Campbell, and let's not forget Darius Robinson, who they took in the first round last year, who got hurt early in the year, right? Who they loved. Like you were hearing, this kid's going to be a superstar talk in their summer, training camp. So we can't forget he's there, and he's a kind of a D tackle, D end hybrid, right? He does a little bit of everything. I feel like with the Dalvin Tomlinson signing and the Calais Campbell signings, they're kind of going, we're not going to take D tackle here. At least not here at this point. I could certainly see it in the second round. But here, when I just get into them, to me, the biggest thing that they need to worry about, I think, is O-line. O-line. And I just look at them and go, wait, this quarterback, you got a good receiver, right? You made some you made some additions to the D line anyways with Josh Sweat in free agency too. Let's get somebody on the interior part of the O-line who's a special player, and that's where I'm going to go. Gray Zabel from North Dakota State.
North Dakota State.
He could play tackle. They don't really need tackle. They got Jonah Williams and of course Paris Johnson Jr., who they took in the last first round 2 years ago. I think this now, you get the interior guys. It feels like a Monty Ossenfort. He was in New England with me type of pick. Let's get some big, tough guys. You also got to think about this. What division you play? You're playing with the Rams, who got a bunch of ass kickers on the D-line right now. The Seattle Seahawks are up there in that category. And we know the 49ers might not be what they are, but they still are pretty damn good. And they get Shemar Stewart. You better worry about it a little bit, too. I just look at it that way. I think it's O-line here. But I can see the D-tackle thing, Armand.
Your fourth offensive lineman off the board goes pick number 16 to the Cardinals. And I know you don't scout the helmets.
Yeah.
but North Dakota State, pick number 16, middle of the first round. I know he's a good player. He's a great player. He just always wondered about that level of competition.
I know. And so it's where I don't expect him to be a left tackle. I think we're going to see a total guard here, and I'm comfortable with that. I know the competition's always a worry when you're at those type of schools, but it wasn't like he was stalemating a lot. He was kicking some ass, and let alone you see enough at the Senior Bowl, the Colorado game, and some other games to go, oh, those are big-time schools, and he whooped that ass in those games too, right?
All right, so that is halfway through the first round. We got to take a breather. We got a lot more picking to do, though. Quarterback still on the board.
Damn.
Shedeur Sanders. Does he go in the 20s? Maybe the last pick of the first round. That's still to come. Welcome back to Chris Sims Unbuttoned. So here were picks 9 through 16, the answer key. And so if you don't want to know what happens in the draft on Thursday, look away. Forget what you just saw. You got a linebacker, a couple running backs going off the board, the first pure corner, and Will Johnson, 13 to the Dolphins. And now we move on. The Bengals are on the clock. Pick number 17. We had Orlando Brown on the pod. We tried to get the pick from the Bengals. We were like, who are you guys going to take?
Right.
If it was you, who would you take? He did want a big guy.
He did.
He wanted a big guy.
Yeah.
Either offense or defense. But he'd like a friend next to him.
Yeah. I think you look at it, I go, wait, would they take an edge guy? Certainly they would. I don't know if I got the top 3 edge guys or 4 edge guys. I got 4 edge guys off the board already. Mm-hmm. So we're at a point where will they go a Donovan Izarike or a James Pierce there? Maybe. I'm going to have them go O-line, though. I'm going to have them do that. I think I just look at it with the O-line, where they are. First off, I think it's probably the best value for what's there. And I like Tyler Booker a lot. Tyler Booker, to me, he's one of the safest picks of the draft. Looks like he could be a top-tier guard, and looks like he could probably play tackle if he had to, I think he can do it. He's a huge human being, and you look at them, and, hey, O-line wasn't great for them last year. It took them a while to get going, especially the interior part of their O-line. They lost one of their linemen to the Raiders in free agency. Cody Ford, I don't think, is what you really want your long-term answer to be at right guard there. So, yeah, this is where I go. I think they get Tyler Booker, who I think has a chance to be a phenomenal guard, like my kind of guy. Yeah. And if you like big O-linemen, this is your kind of guy, right? We talked about him. He seems like an AFC North guy, kind of guy. Big, can block Ravens type of guys, can block the Steelers type of guys, do all that. It's not going to be about, supreme athleticism. We're an outside zone running football team. That's not what he is. He's just a big masher.
So who knows? This could kick off a run of offensive linemen, because Seahawks now on the clock at 18. DraftKings has offensive line as the most likely position they select in round number 1.
I think it's for me too. I mean, they don't need much on defense. Their defense is, if you look at their defense, I've seen people put them secondary, and I want to go, the secondary is the strength of their football team. I don't know why they would take anybody in the secondary. Their D-line is stacked. They could go middle linebacker, but as we have it here, none of those good ones are there on the board right now. So that doesn't make sense. Receiver, I hear people say that too. I think they addressed that. They got Jackson Smith-Njigba. They got Cooper Kupp. They're paying him pretty good money, and they got Valdez-Scantling. I don't think they want to go receiver here. I think it is O-line all the way, and I'm going to say with a guy that's been up, they're going to have a close look of Josh Conerly from Oregon. Yeah, teams usually like guys that are in their area. Conerly, I think, again, is another guy that I'd go is a safe pick. He could be an all-pro guard or a Pro Bowl type guard, and I think he can play tackle too. I think he's best at guard for me, but they're a team that we've been talking about ever since you and I got together working, that their O-line is an issue. I think this is slam dunk. They got to go O-line here, especially because, like you just said, we're seeing a little run on my thing here to where you'd have to worry about what might be available for you in the second round.
Offensive lineman number 6 for you now off the board. We've already seen the edge guys go off the board, a defensive tackle, and so the big guys, we do think this is a way, this is going to be a story of the draft, right? The big dudes, the first part of the first round.
I think so. I do. And as I told you, not only do I believe that when I looked at the draft in totality as a whole, because I kept going, damn, this is a good offensive lineman. We're in the NFL right now. You and I talk about it all the time. I'm just going to say it again. Teams can't find enough good O linemen. There's way more good D linemen. There's got to be a premium. And then as I we talked before the show too, there's just too many people I've talked to over the last 2 weeks that just the NFL seems to think, hey, what the Eagles have been doing, what the Lions have been doing, everybody's going to be copycatting that right now. We got to get big people. We got to dominate the line of scrimmage. And I think that continues there with the Bengals and the Seahawks and their picks.
And the Buccaneers next up. There's another team that likes the big dudes up front.
That's right. They got big dudes already, though, so I don't think they got to worry. I look at this and go, I think they're big dudes on both front lines, offense and defense. I think they're good. To me, the question is secondary. Secondary is the question. Is there a true man-to-man corner would they go to, or just an overall good player? But they were one of the worst secondaries in football last year. I'm going to go Malaki Starks here. Malaki Starks, really good football player, phenomenal football IQ, and then can do two different things. Can play nickel, can play safety, right? Address two different positions. We know Todd Bowles, he likes to pressure. This is a guy that can do some different type of stuff in the background. He's also a phenomenal tackler. That's why you're going to trust him down there in those nickel spots. I'm going to go with that here because I could see them going corner, but I feel like they're going to ride with Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum a little longer here. It's, nickel safety where maybe they worry about that a little bit, but they got to improve that pass defense.
So DraftKings has them drafting a safety at plus 950.
Okay.
So if this does happen, you could make some cash out there perhaps.
Yeah.
So Tampa has not drafted a safety in round one since 2012.
2012.
Any idea who that could have been?
Hold on a second here. 2012 safety.
7th overall.
Damn.
So this was out of Alabama.
Oh, okay. So, all right, 7th overall out of Alabama. Holy cow. Who would that be? Who am I missing? In Tampa Bay? I don't know. Who is it?
This pick didn't go that well if you're not remembering it. Mark Barron.
Oh, my gosh. It was Mark Barron. Yeah. It did not go that well. Yeah. He wasn't there all that long, and then he went to the Rams, I believe, not shortly after that, and it kind of fell off, right?
But I'm sure this one's going to go better.
Well, this is a different player. Mark Barron was old school
deny
safety.
That. You can't deny he's a different player.
He is a different player. Different last name, different look altogether.
Different school.
But Barron was your traditional safety, almost linebacker-ish safety, right?
Interesting.
This is This is your nickel, can do a little bit of everything type of guy. And like I said, I thought about a little here. Maybe do I go a Maxwell Harrison or one of these other top corners in the draft? But I didn't know if that felt right to me with what they got and where their team is. So, instead I go with Malaki Starks, who I think is a really damn good football player.
I have a feeling we could have that run on corners here in a little bit. But let's go to pick number 20 now with the Broncos. Sean Payton. You said last year, Bo Nix is a Sean Payton guy. You are in the head.
I've been in the head
of Sean Payton.
Yes. I've been in his head as far as free agency, Bo Nix, what he would do his first year as a head coach there. This is a little harder here. And you look at this is one of the best defenses in football. It's Sean Payton. We heard last year constantly they need more offensive weapons for their young quarterback. I think they go that here. And I think they address the receiver position. One, Cortland Sutton there. He's getting up there a little bit. Marvin Mims is another receiver they have, but they use him as a running back receiver / Devon Vele, who's a good football player. I like him, but I think they're going to add to it. And this is where I think Tetairoa McMillan comes into play. I look at Tetairoa McMillan, and one of the people I think of is big slot Michael Thomas. That's what I think of. When Sean Payton was in New Orleans, he had Michael Thomas, who played slot receiver, right? People had fun with him and called him Slant Boy forever. But, I think he's that type of route runner to where he can do that type of stuff, let alone on the outside. He's got enough speed to scare you a little bit, but the back shoulders, the 50-50 balls, all of that, I think he's a believer in these bigger type of guys. Yep. I'm going to go Tetairoa McMillan here. They need an offensive playmaker.
He's your wide receiver 3. Great. In this scenario, he would be the first wide receiver off the board if you exclude Hunter, second if you include him there. You're lower on McMillan than most other people out there, or at least the draft analysts and experts out there.
Right.
But you think this would be okay value later in the first round still?
I totally understand that he could go somewhere 10 through 15. Will the Cowboys take him at 12? Maybe they would.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to be mad at that. I ended up going to Omarion, Hampton, and the fact that there was depth at receiver, that they would go somewhere different. And I don't know if I felt like Tetairoa was a Dallas Cowboy type of guy. I feel like they'd go for maybe a little bit more of a I don't know, not the big guy, a little bit more of a versatile player altogether. But yeah, I could be wrong here. It just is the way it shook out. They need the receiver here, and I think it makes a lot of sense for them, but certainly recognize he can go before this.
A Sean Payton-led team has not drafted a round one wide receiver since 2014 with the Saints. That was Brandon Cooks, 20th overall as well. So if this does happen, you truly are in his head.
Damn, I am.
He's like,
right.
I can't get away from this guy. So we'll see if it does. 21 to the Steelers. They're on the clock right now. Mike Tomlin getting to his head now.
I don't feel like they're going to go quarterback. I don't.
So that is the most likely position that they will draft, according to DraftKings, at plus 195.
I know. I don't know what the situation is with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think they're looking to start new and do that right now. I don't think they want to go the same mistake they did last time. Let's just pick a quarterback because we need a quarterback a la Kenny Pickett. Yeah. Okay, there's that aspect. Then there's, again, the other guys are on the board. I know Shedeur's there. I don't feel like that's something Mike Tomlin would want to bring that spectacle there right now. I just don't get that feel. I don't know. And again, I think they gave us all the inklings too a little bit. Early on, like they were never in the quarterback market. That was never a thing. It was because first off, they just misplayed the Justin Fields thing. They wanted Justin Fields back. That's what they were going to do. And they misplayed it, and I think the Jets made an offer they weren't expecting, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, we don't have anybody. So and then they went right to Aaron Rodgers. It's never been draft. Okay? And I see a lot of mocks that got Jaxson Dart going there, and I want to go, Jaxson Dart's going home. He's not going to the draft. That to me is a sign. I'm sorry, that's a sign. If Jaxson Dart definitely knew he was going, he would have stayed there. He accepted the invitation and then unaccepted it a few days later because he got, oh shit, I don't know. Like, I could be that guy that the camera's on every pick. Like, does somebody trade for Jaxson Dart? Does somebody trade for Jaxson Dart? Right? If Shedeur Sanders does go to the Saints at number 9, starting with like the next 3 picks there, it's going to be on him every 5 minutes going, is somebody going to trade up and take another quarterback in the round? And he's going to be the face of the first round as the loser in the green room. I think he went home and said, nah. I'll take my chances at home with the family. We'll see what happens because I don't have a guaranteed spot. I'm going to go Steelers here, taking Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle from Oregon. All right, I just don't feel like they're going to go to the quarterback move. I don't. And again, I'm kind of a little bit of like what I've heard through the league too, and the fact that I hear Shedeur and Jaxson Dart and Tyler Shuck from too many teams have a similar grade. So that doesn't mean, we got to take him now at 21. I just doesn't feel that way. They do need a D tackle. They do need to start getting some younger guys in their front 7. Cam Hayward, it's year 15. It's already amazing he's doing what he's doing as it is, right? Let alone, they got some good players. Keanu Benton's a good player, but this is another guy, you put him with Cameron Hayward, and you got something going for the future here. Yeah. He's a hell of a player, Derek Harmon.
It's funny you mentioned Cameron Hayward. He was taken 31st overall in the first round in 2011. It's the last time that the Steelers have taken an interior defensive lineman in the first round.
Okay.
So Derek Harmon, he was your number 3 defensive tackle. And he's an impact. You hear it from everyone out there. There's like impact guys.
Definitely.
In the middle of the defensive line, on the edge of the defensive line.
Right. Can do it all. Can two-gap, can shoot gaps and disrupt. He can do everything.
It's a huge part of what Oregon did, making the run and winning the Big Ten this past year.
And they play a similar type of defense. They'll ask him to do a lot of that type of stuff. That's where I think there's great value there.
He's a Michigan guy, too. I think he came from Detroit, Michigan.
Michigan State, he was there.
There we go.
Yeah, Michigan State 3 years ago had an all-star team.
Things went south.
It's holy crap. Receivers everywhere.
They really did.
D-line, O-lineman, that's crazy.
All right, we go to pick number 22.
Yep.
Staying in the state of Michigan with Jim Harbaugh now leading the charge there with the Chargers.
Chargers
charging, which they did at the end of the year, but there was less of that during the middle of the year.
Right.
I want to defend my guy Jim.
Yeah, Jim was awesome. Come on, they won last year. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so you look at them and you go, O linemen. They're set on the O line. It's I think one of the better O lines in all of football. Just added Mekhi Becton. They got the biggest people on the planet on their O line right now. Their defense. Now, you could look at that and go, would they go D tackle here? But I don't know if I feel like there's definitely a D tackle that's worth this value other than Kenneth Grant. Okay? So he's a Michigan guy, and I was a little bit like, he would fit everything they want to do. But I still feel like there's more of a glaring need on offensive side of the ball. I do. And another Michigan guy is there, and it just happened to be this way, Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland not only just makes them an unbelievable power-running offensive line when he's playing tight end because he blocks so well, but, yeah, his ability in the pass game, he kind of gets underrated. It's not far off from Tyler Warren. He might not be quite as good after the catch. I would tell you he's a better route runner, and he's still pretty damn good after the catch, too. So, yeah, I think it's just as this is a – with the GM coming from Baltimore, who Harbaugh is, I mean, I always feel like it's going to be trenches with those two guys. I'm going to go tight end here. They get their Mark Andrews a little bit for their football team.
As Pete is fiercely writing in a rundown right now, they did draft 2 Michigan players last year. Junior Colston, the linebacker, went in round number 3. Cornelius Johnson, wide receiver, went in round number 7, so they could do it in round number 1 here.
Right.
Last time the Chargers took a tight end in round number 1 way back in 1979.
Whoa.
Hall of Famer Kellen Winslow was 13 overall.
Damn, Kellen Winslow. I forgot he was the same draft as my dad, six later.
And if you do love Justin Herbert, you give him some weapons, right?
I would think so. That's what we talked about all year last year. That's what we got into, right? We're not sold that Quentin Johnston's the man. We just brought back Mike Williams as the other receiver. I mean, come on, Mike Williams was on 2 different teams last year. There's a reason. Okay? And then we got Ladd McConkey, who we all really like. He's awesome. But you don't want Ladd McConkey to be like your number 1 guy. That's not who he's meant to be that way. Right? So this is a guy that's going to make everybody better, let alone their run game better too. I don't know. What is your thought? You have a good feel for Joe Horvitz, who came from Baltimore, so I think they like big people. I think the D tackle tight end thing. Who do you think they would prefer in that one? The tight end or like a Kenneth Grant?
I mean, when you get to this point in the draft, right? It's about who's there.
Yeah.
Right? So I think. You have seen Loveland linked to him for a long time. And I know when Harbaugh was there, he loved Colston Loveland.
Yes,
and
he did.
The offense was geared around him, even when they had more pieces when Harbaugh was there.
Right.
So it'd be hard to think that they would
you
pass
think it's
him up.
too? Yeah,
I would think so.
Okay.
But I'm not going to bet anything on it because I don't like losing money.
Yeah.
That's what we make you do. 23 overall is the Green Bay Packers. And so they are on the clock right now.
Green Bay needs Matthew Golden at receiver. Again, I'm not the biggest Matthew Golden fan, but I like him. So I don't want that to be be mistaken there. I like him. He's just not one of my top favorite guys. Yeah, I think he's a little overrated. The Green Bay Packers need a receiver, though. They need a receiver they can definitively count on, and Golden, I think, is a really safe pick. He can do everything. There is untapped potential. Can he tap into that speed and explosivity just a little bit more than maybe what he did at Texas? But with Christian Watson constantly being injured and coming off ACL, Romeo Doubs dealing with certain things there, they really only have Jaden Reed who they can depend on. They need somebody else. I think they go Matthew Golden, Texas. He's going in the first round whether I like him or not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is where I'm having him going.
He would be the 3rd wide receiver off the board if you include Travis Hunter.
Right.
The last time that the Packers drafted any offensive weapon player, like a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end.
In the first round. Hold on.
Was.
Gosh.
How many years ago? I mean, the Jaden Reed was the second rounder.
Javon
Walker, 20th overall. Yeah,
wow.
2002.
Yeah, I kind of remember. Wow. I kind of remember, and of course, I am a historian, but I also want to say, like, this was, of course, a thing that was talked about with lack of Aaron Rodgers support for so many years that I kind of remembered that always being thrown out there, that, like, they haven't drafted their first-round receiver since 2004, right?
And then it was just like, it was the bit, and so they didn't draft one just because it was funnier that way. It was like, Aaron Rodgers mad, and now he's eventually out there doing some other things. 24th overall, you got a division rival. Woo. You got the Minnesota Vikings sitting there on the clock. So this is interesting. DraftKings.
Yeah, what do they got?
Has the favorite plus 200, co-favorites here, plus 200. The position groups. Safety at plus 200, and then corner at plus 200 as well.
This is a tough one here.
DBs.
Look, I thought about Jahdae Barron. Okay. I thought about Kenneth Grant here, right? The D tackle from Michigan. Because again, just big people, and the Jonathan Allen, I know they got him, but it's towards the end of his career. Harrison Phillips, okay, good player, but we're nothing to write home about. Jamon Hargrave, again, coming off injury, getting up there in years, didn't play the best in San Francisco. So I was like, man, will they go D-line here? And then, of course, I know Brian Flores a little bit and worked with him in New England. I know he likes big people. But, damn, I know he likes corners and man-to-man coverage, too. And he hasn't been able to do that. So I go with Maxwell Harrison here. And this is one where, listen, I was tough. Like I said, Grant, Maxwell Harrison, Jahdae Barron, I certainly could see him fitting their multiplicity scheme and all they do. But I'm going to go with the guy that just plays pure man-to-man, shut-down, lockdown corner, and Harrison. I love him. I think they have a need here at the position. But, yes, this was one that was tough because there is a few people on the board where I go, he could make sense. But what led me off of Jahdae Barron is just that Byron Murphy's similar to him. So I was like, wait, they don't need two of those nickel type of guys. But then I was like, well, Harrison Smith, this might be his last year. Maybe they'll get him and have him be a safety nickel hybrid, all that. But when it came down to it, I just went, no, they need a true corner that plays man-to-man, and I'm going to go with Maxwell Harrison there.
Yeah, Harrison's stock has risen since the combine. Super fast, blazing speed. He's minus 280 to go in round number 1 right now. So
he's going to the draft. I think that's a big thing.
There you go. He's got indications there, and he's not backed out yet.
No. He was actually a late addition, which to me, when Jaxson Dart canceled out and Michael Williams canceled out, they added him in, which tells me that they were told by multiple teams that, somebody's going to take him, so let's invite him. Right.
So the Vikings, as Pete is putting in a rundown, a checkered past of round 1 DBs.
Oh, yeah.
2022, Lewis Seen.
Right.
2020, Jeff Gladney. 2018, Mike Hughes.
Oof.
2015, Trey Waynes.
Right.
2013, Xavier Rhodes.
Oof.
2012, Harrison Smith.
Damn, that was the last good one. Their last one that lived up to the billing there.
Got to go back in.
I like their chances now a lot more. I do. First off, I'm a Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah believer, and then I'm a believer in Brian Flores. And the fact of all the great DBs he saw in New England and all those years that he knows what that looks like.
But not a believer in Shedeur Sanders going in the first 24 picks. He is still on the board. We build the drama as we take a commercial break. Our final picks. If we have not said your team yet, it's because they were too good. Sorry about that. Their picks are coming up here.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Before we get into the final 8 picks of this mock draft, here are the picks that we just had. Chris has taken some offensive linemen, 17-18, his second wide receiver after Travis Hunter. T-Mac is going 20th to the Broncos, and Jim Harbaugh is taking another Michigan guy. That seems like the lock of the draft. It's just a matter of who it's going to be, but he will take a Michigan guy for the Chargers. All right, pick number 25, the Texans here. We have DraftKings saying that they are odds-on favorite, minus 260, to take an offensive lineman. You already have 6 offensive linemen off the board in this draft. Would they really take the 7th best offensive lineman in the draft?
Well, yes, they would, because the 7th best as far as the pecking order of this draft is really one of the top 2 linemen of the draft. He just has an injury, and that's where we're going to go with Josh Simmons. And I think that they're the perfect team and scenario that's set up to be able to take him, right? Yeah, their offensive line is not great, but they're not desperate that they need him right away in week 4. So they can wait a little bit for this injury to heal. But this dude's special. I mean, he's special. When you hear Orlando Brown Jr., who's been around an offensive lineman his whole life, and go, I see Trent Williams. I mean, Trent Williams is going into the upper room of the Hall of Fame, first ballot, all-time great left tackle, right? He's got that type of stuff to him, to where that type of talent, your team's pretty damn good. You've made some adjustments on the offensive line in general to where you're not desperate. Your team has got no need anywhere that I look at to go, you really need this, right? D-tackle could maybe be one spot where you could look at and go, hey, they could use something there, right? But as far as that's concerned, right, I don't think Kenneth Grant's their type of guy, because I think they want quicker, smaller D-tackles. So I looked at this and went, yeah, with what they did with the offensive line, they've obviously reorganized the culture there with that group right there. This is a guy that, hey, you got Cam Robinson at left tackle. You got a guy at Blake Fisher at right tackle. I don't think Cam Robinson's the long-term answer here, and you buy Josh Simmons a little time to eventually be your franchise superstar left tackle.
He tore his patellar tendon in October, says he expects to be ready for the start of the season. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go earlier, because I think it's just that knee, and if it weren't for that, he would be top 10.
I think you're exactly right.
And there could be a team out there that's like, well, if he would have been that, let's just take him.
I do think you're right. I think he's a top 10 pick without the knee. The one thing that is the patella tendon is one of the few injuries that's just a little scary to teams, because that is one that's just it takes a little more time for guys to get back normal, feeling themselves. But you're right, he could totally be off the board before this is all said and done, because if people feel like it's healing the right way and all that, they're going to go, well, shit, he'll be our starter by week 5 or maybe earlier, so let's just get him going, and that will make him go off before I think, at least.
Over to the Rams now. They got pick number 26. Sean McVay sitting there on the clock. What are they thinking?
They need secondary.
Okay.
That's the number one thing I look at, and Jahdae Barron is on the board. And I think he fits totally how they play. Again, they're a team that they don't play a ton of man-to-man. They like smart guys and zones and all that, and he can be an incredible nickel. Right? That's really what I think he is, let alone, like the safety stuff too, and corner if it's going to be zone a lot of the time. Again, I don't want Barron outside playing a ton of man-to-man corner. That's the only issue you have with him. Everything else he does at a high level. So he's not that shut-down guy, but as far as the NFL being a nickel defense, almost 80% of the game for most teams in the league, he's perfect for that. He's going to be able to match up with all those guys. You can get away with some snaps outside, and like I said, he can play safety, ball hawk the middle of the field, and do all that too. They need an improvement in their secondary. I think he fits that.
Rams already have a good young defense, adding some more young talent to that
exactly
defensive
right.
side of the football. Ravens, they like the defensive guy. They like the big guys up front. They're on the clock at pick number 27.
Donovan Ezerique, Boston College. Ezerique. Yeah. I was close. I like you, Ezerique. Yeah. I like you a lot.
He's your number 5 edge.
He's my number 5 edge. I think he's got some special traits to him. I think he's kind of under the radar. The league likes him maybe more than the draft pundits do. The length, the bend, right? Sneaky first step. All of those, and then you take into you look at the Ravens, there's no desperate need on the offensive side of the ball, and we're getting to a point here where a lot of the O-linemen are gone. The defensive side of the ball, they don't need D-tackle. Travis Jones is awesome. Matabuke's awesome. Their secondary's pretty good, and I thought about maybe was there a corner or somebody here that would make sense, right? But I think all in all, pass rush has been the issue there. Van Noy's getting up in age. Tavius Robinson and Adafio Way are the other guys off the edge. They've never been great sack artists that way. This is where they get a guy finally that can come off the edge and be a real threat, like they had, back in the day with Zadarius Smith, Terrell Suggs, Matt Judon, and that crew there.
So even though he's undersized just a bit, he is minus 500 to go in the first round according to DraftKings, and so it seems like he will go maybe in this range, maybe number 27 to the Ravens. My Lions are on the clock.
Yeah.
Pick number 28. Now don't do this. Don't do Shedeur to Lions. Just
no, don't worry.
Wreak havoc.
That's not your kind of.
The funny thing is, like, the comp I've heard for Shedeur a lot of times is Jared Goff. I've heard that comp
I can see that a little bit. I can.
But don't do that.
Oh, don't worry. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
Like, Here's another place where I thought, gosh, will they go pass rusher here? I wasn't sure.
If you listen to people in Detroit, they want to go pass rusher.
They want to go pass rusher.
But Brad Holmes recently said, why is that? Is that just because Aiden Hutchinson got hurt last year and he's like,
yeah. They got a lot of good D linemen.
They do.
A lot of good D linemen. But the other pass rusher is a question, okay? James Pierce is the only other top-notch guy that is on the board that I feel like they would consider, and I don't know if he would be their cup of tea. He might lack a little of the length they would like. I think they are into that and that type of stuff here. I'm going to go back to their roots here. I'm going to go Donovan Jackson, guard from Ohio State. They've lost some of their offensive linemen. Graham Glasgow is getting up there in age and not playing top-notch football. Right, you've lost Zeitler and other people like that on your offensive line over the years here. So I look at the interior part of Frank Ragnow getting older, right? So here's a chance to get a top-notch guard and keep that dominant offensive line together, which you believe in, and you got those running backs and that quarterback and all of that there, and the weapons. I'm going to go that. It was a tough one here, though, between that and the pass rusher.
I think this is one of your only reaches, quote-unquote, of the first round, because he is an underdog to go in round number one. He would be your 8th offensive lineman off the board, but the Lions need some depth at
Most people are saying
line.
he's like mid-late second round, kind of? Is that where?
I would assume so, yeah. I mean, I've heard his name pop up in some mocks, but not a lock to go in round number one. But
we're getting to a point where if you want good O-linemen, I think you're getting to the end of it here, and he's one of the last really quality ones on the board. So, yeah, I went with him, but maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, that and the pass rusher were certainly the two things that were at the top of my brain when you sat here and evaluated their roster.
Because there are going to be names available for linemen and edge rushers at the end of the first round, but they're getting thin.
They're getting thin.
Let's
I know.
Go to number 29 for the Commanders, who are maybe looking at a similar type situation as the Detroit Lions.
To me, this is where James Pierce fits. This is where I'll go James Pierce. They need pass rusher. Dante Fowler gone. They got Dorrance Armstrong, who's a good football player, but again, I don't think a game changer that way. Pierce, you get him wide, you get him off the edge, you let him fly. Seattle scheme, wide nines here. I think he's perfect for that. And you look at their team too and where we are in the draft and all that. It just, they've done a good job, Adam Peters. And I think they addressed D tackle with Javon Kinlaw in free agency, so I don't think they'll be looking at that there. Their secondary is more talented than I think people give it credit for. They have Marshawn Lattimore. They have Mike Sandler still. Right? They're freaking good players. Quan Martin's a good player at the other safety. Igabanye, they got to see what he is too, let alone they signed Jonathan Jones. So I think they're good. I think everything their signs have told me is that they are going to go pass rusher, and James Pierce is the best one on the board here as far as that's concerned.
So lock it in, the 6th edge off the board. According to your mock so far, he's your number 4 edge as far as talent in this class. Bills on the clock at 30. They're sitting there with the odds-on favorite, according to DraftKings, to take a defensive lineman.
I know.
First pick.
So we talked about this before we came on air. I thought about, do I go Vikings Kenneth Grant? And then that would have kicked Maxwell Harrison to the Bills at pick 30, right? I thought about it. I was like, would that make sense? But as you know, I went with the corner for the Vikings. So Harrison's off the board. They could go a Kenneth Grant, but when I look at Buffalo more than anything, I mean, corner is the issue. And you know me, I've been saying that for a few years. They can't play man-to-man. They can never lock up the good offenses in football when they really got to. When they play Joe Burrow and the Bengals and they have to play zone, he always picks them the apart. Because they're just like, oh, it's zone every play, and I'm awesome at zone, and my offense is pretty good to come up with those type of plays, so you're screwed. I'm going to go the DB here. All right, Shavon Revel. Savone. I'm going to get his name right eventually.
Here's the cool thing. Savone, we have said your name like 20 times on the pod just because we've had to repeat it so many times to get it right. So you're getting a lot of pub.
Free pub. Savone Revel.
Yeah.
But I just look at corner. First off, him, my man from Iowa State, Darian Porter, right? I told you before the show, I've had some teams ask me, hey, do you think these two guys are going to go in the first round? I don't know if they will. They could. But I think they're being considered here in this range. I went with Revel because he just got more tape, but he has the injury. But he's got more tape. The other guy's tape, to me, is almost as good, but it's just not a lot as much of it. It's actually as good. It's I love it. It's every bit as good. It's just there's not a lot of it. So that's what scares you a little bit. And that 1 year of playing it. So I think they go with the guy that's a little more proven here in Revel. But yes, I look at them and go, I mean, I don't trust anybody on their team in man-to-man situations other than Christian Benford. That's it. And that's just, it's too hard to play like that in the NFL. So I'm going to go Revel here.
So 2 more picks to go in the first round. Another corner off the board, the 4th in the first round. We go to the Chiefs, and Vegas believes that they are a favorite to take an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Minus 150 to do that.
There's none left on my board.
Yeah, they're gone.
Unless we go with Ariante Ursere, who I said is that guy that I think could be, in this range. Like, I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah.
Would they take a tackle? I don't know. I feel like they'd probably rather go guard or something like that. They gave Jalon Moore pretty good money from the 49ers, who wasn't even really a starter there, right? He's got limited playing time, but did play. You do have film to watch that. They gave him pretty good money. They got Jawan Taylor at the other tackle. Are they going to take another tackle? I don't know. I went defense here, and Kenneth Grant's on the board still. So I'm going to go with Kenneth Grant here. They need a defensive lineman for sure. They definitely need a defensive tackle. Chris Jones, we know, is coming down to the edge here, or the end. Mike Pennell is another guy that's up there in age and kind of a career journeyman. You get young, you get big here. I think he fits them. I think they're going to be looking for somebody in the trenches. I'm going to say that the O-line value is not there here at this pick, and I think they go D-line.
Yeah, they would love this if this happened because he is minus 400 to go in the first round, Kenneth Grant. Although we have
You don't think he'll be there this late, do you?
Well, I don't know because we've seen some, you were saying to me, we've seen some mock drafts where he hasn't been in the first round at all.
I know, that's right. And I actually made calls around because I started to see mock drafts where I was like, wait, I thought this guy was like kind of a lock top 20, top 25 pick. And I did call some friends that go like, am I missing something? Like, what do you think of Kenneth Grant? And they were like, all like, no, he's going in the first round. Yeah. Right? He's going in the first. So I might have him too low here, really, when it's all said and done. We'll see what happens.
Well, the only thing that matters, we are going to judge this mock by if these players are drafted. And if they're drafted, I give you full credit. Number 32, the Eagle, the final pick. So maybe good value by the Chiefs. The Eagles are knowing Howie and getting good value in every one of their picks. Here's the one guarantee of the draft. People will be raving about the value that the Eagles got with their picks.
They either are so good they don't have to be desperate or do something good, or they're so good that they go, wait, we can afford to trade a few of these things away, and our roster's so complete to go get this one guy. So they have the luxury of both. That's what sucks. They can't be wrong, really, right? As a Giant fan, I don't like that, okay?
It does suck.
But that's where they're special. And do I think the Eagles might try to trade up in this draft? I do. I think there's a chance. Like, it has crossed my mind, will they – I think they want a new tight end. I think they'd like to get rid of Dallas Goedert and get a difference-making tight end. Like, would they be a team that would go, wait, let's go get Colston. Let's call the Steelers at 21. Let's get Colston Loveland and make our offense the greatest offense we've ever seen in the history of football, right? Would they do something like that? Is there somebody else? I have a feeling, even from a few people that I trust, that they're going to be in the market to make a move. But as we know, they won't do it stupidly, right? And I don't know if that opportunity will present itself. Let's see. Either way, also here at the end, this is where I did think about, do we get a trade up for Shedeur? Do we get a trade up for Jaxson Dart or Tyler Shuck or all that? But I'm going to say no because they're all on the board, and I think most teams have them as equal grades. And I will go back to my same thing of going, wait, we're going to trade away future assets for a guy that we don't think's a first-round pick, but we're going to take him in the first round now and waste basically 2 or 3 picks on him? That just doesn't make sense to me. I got him going Michael Williams, Georgia. I mean, why not? They pick a guy from Georgia every year anyways. Why not just keep it going here?
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's a guy that not going to the draft, right? I don't think he knows where he's going. There's great length. He does bend well. It can be a little, you want more from him as a pass rusher, that's for sure. But you can't deny the size, playing at Georgia, the versatility and some of the things he can do there. I think the Eagles make this type of future move if things stay status quo as they are here.
He's a guy that you have been lower on,
right,
but the draft pundits have been raving about him for a long, long time. He is minus 600 to not only go in the first round, but go before pick 15.5.
I would be shocked by that. I don't think he would not go to the draft if he wasn't that, right? The fact that he said I'm not going tells you that nobody told him he was going in the top 15, and he found out, to at least in my opinion, of like, I might not be going in round 1. I'm not sure. I'm on the cusp, so I'm not going to go. I'm just going to hang out at home.
So with all that said, how frustrated would you be when Howie is praised for unbelievable? This guy was supposed to go in the top 10. He got him at 32 overall.
I mean, listen, I thought him here, okay.
Yeah.
Walter Nolan's another guy that I know was in this area. I thought about him with the Chiefs and the Eagles, right?
Yeah, let's go through some of those guys. I'm glad you brought that up. But let's just review what you've done here. Your mock draft, the answer key is in. Here's your top 8. When will you start to get nervous that you're going to be wrong? When we're watching this in the barn.
I think that, like, I think it's pick 5, we start there where I'm going, I think they're going to take Mason Graham, I'm pretty sure, but 6 is really the one where I go, I know I did a little different, and that could be Ashton Jeanty, and I could be totally wrong.
What did we make it to last year? Probably 7, right?
I think we did. I mean, we made it to like 6 or 7 last year. It wasn't like hard to do last year, right? With the way the draft was. It's like we kind of felt like we knew.
Getting more and more information. So there's 1 through 8. You can you can cycle through some more of those pages there. So if you got a top 10 pin, you weren't very good last year, but maybe these players will help you get better. Shemar Stewart, his rise up, potentially top
I mean, he's one of the 17 players that's going to be at the draft. Somebody told him he's going in the top 25. That's why he's there. In fact, I would bet you multiple teams. I think, again, the league likes him more than the public and the draft pundits do.
There's 9 through 16 as we flip it now, 17 through 24. A couple more offensive linemen off the board. We've got Derek Harmon, a defensive tackle, 21st to the Steelers. 2 wide receivers in this range, which you think is, about the value.
Yeah.
About the value of this year. You don't like those guys necessarily, but you think that these wide receivers in totality are 25 to 50.
Somewhere in there. And I could see Tetairoa McMillan going off earlier, right? I could see that. I think he's looked at as like, hey, teams would be like, oh, I'd be okay with him going 10 through 20.
Yeah.
I get that. But, yeah, we get into this. We get to the end of the draft, and, of course, the quarterbacks are going to be the big question. And also within that, again, like I've been saying, and I'll say it one more time, Cam Ward's in a class of his own. The other guys are all in the same class. There's not that many desperate quarterback teams. If the Steelers go, wait, we kind of feel like Aaron Rodgers is coming here. He just hasn't made it officially yet, but we got to feel, okay, they're off the market. The Saints don't do it, then we're just down to the Browns and the Giants, really, as teams that, need quarterbacks, right? And that's where I'm just going to go with that logic. It feels like that type of year to me, where these quarterbacks are going to be there, and round 2 is going to be just as fun because we're all going to go, holy crap, where are these quarterbacks going to go? And they're all going to go in the first 5 to 7 picks of the second round.
So a couple of the guys, Shedeur Sanders, your number 2 quarterback. So you do like him, and you think you probably like him a little bit more than the NFL community in totality.
I do. Right. I do. I mean, I think his arm's better than people realize, and he's a better athlete than people give him credit for. So, yes, he's clearly my number 2. I like him better than Jaxson Dart or Tyler Shuck. And as I told you, I know that everybody's got grades that are similar on those guys. And I know some teams that got Tyler Shuck in front of Jaxson Dart, which is going to be interesting as well. So I don't know how that's going to play out. And that's why I avoided it. And that's just, again, my spidey senses, my feel, my gut. I don't know that for sure, but we'll see where this goes.
Well, we paint the picture because it could go either way because Vegas has it plus 195 for the Saints to take him, which is not quite a coin flip, but not too far off of that.
That's a very low number for the circumstances and what the
100%.
Public seems to think is definitely going to happen.
That's true.
That's
so a couple of things that Pete's put in here, too, to remind us of how crazy this can get. 2023, Daniel Jeremiah had Will Levis going number 4 overall. This is the day of the draft. This isn't even like his first mock of the season done in whatever, January 5th.
Exactly.
He went in round 2. 2022, the day of the draft, Mel Kiper had Malik Willis going number 20 overall, and he ended up going in round number 3. To the Steelers, where they took Kenny Pickett instead.
And guess what? He's better than Kenny Pickett, no doubt.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Malik Willis did a good job last year for Green Bay.
So that second round will be interesting, too, where these quarterbacks do. If they don't go in the first round, that second round will be fascinating. Jaxson Dart, and who knows? Maybe Jaxson Dart, who's your number 3 quarterback, will go ahead of Shedeur Sanders.
Maybe he will. I don't know. That's where I just couldn't come to it, and that's why I couldn't make the trade, because I just feel like I've here all over the place with this stuff and these guys. And again, not that I have the answers for all these stuff every year, but usually kind of get a good feel from people I talk to and all that. And I just I don't know. And I've yet to really talk to anybody that thinks Shedeur Sanders is a top 10 pick or anything like that. Not yet. Like I have not talked to that person. So unless I don't know that person or people laying in the weeds, it's going to be the story of the draft, and we're going to be talking about it a lot in the barn.
A couple other guys you left off. You've mentioned him. I think Walter Nolan you mentioned. He's minus 800 to go in round 1, so pretty heavy favorite out of Ole Miss, the defensive tackle. And the safety who is a combine hero out of South Carolina, Nick Iminwari, minus 1,400 to go in round 1. That surprises me a little bit.
It does too. And again, he's a super talented talent, right? He's a freak of nature, but I also there's some things I don't love about him. But he was a guy where I didn't even think about, like with the Eagles. The Eagles, but they just want a freakish, long, crazy, fast safety in the middle of their defense and take a chance on that. I thought about it, but I think the tackling and some of those things are not going to work in his favor. I think he goes somewhere in the second round.
All right, one more time or a couple more times. I feel like this whole thing has been an infomercial for DraftKings. I feel like I've said that a lot, but hey, it's been instructive to see where they think, because we've seen in the past. I feel like you said it 2 years ago. I'm just going to make my picks and my mock on what Vegas thinks.
Definitely the top five. The top five, they've been locked in the last few years, where it's just like, yeah, they know. They got it. So I don't think my top five is really any different than what Vegas is kind of saying it is right now. Where I'm different is just Ashton Jeanty not to the Raiders at 6, and I go Membou there.
DraftKings has the total round 1 picks by position. And so let's take a look at where we are. 8.5 D-line or edge. You had 10 going off in the first round.
Right.
Offensive linemen, they have 6.5 as the over-under. You have 8 going in the first round.
Yeah.
Corners, they have 4.5. You have 5, including Travis Hunter. That'll be interesting. You got to make sure. Are they including Travis?
I know.
How are they including him?
How do they do that?
Quarterbacks, 2.5 over-under. You just have the 1.
Just the 1.
Running backs, 2.5, but the under is, you don't win a whole lot on the under there, which it probably will be the under, but you have 2. And then wide receivers, wow, the over-under there is 2.5. Again, you don't make much money going the over, but you have just 2, excluding Travis Hunter, which would make it 3 there. So
I feel like the best one that I like there more than anything is the offensive line.
You think it's a slam dunk
7 for sure.
Offensive lineman.
I know
7.
my Donovan Jackson's the one that's like, maybe not. But I don't think any of the other guys, I think it's a slam dunk. I'd be shocked if the other 7. I know Donovan Jackson is, I'm a little higher on most, and we're getting towards the bottom of the list there a little bit. But, I think the other ones are slam dunks to me, and I expect that to happen. And, with the D-line edge guys, too, I have a hard time thinking that's not going to be an over as well. I do. I just feel like they're a special group, and they're at a premium, and people are going to take them off the board as early and as quickly as they can.
It'll be a good day to be big.
Oh, yeah. The big guys are in vogue right now. We're seeing it. I mean, it is. You look at the NFL, you look at the teams that have been winning the Super Bowls the last few years. I think the Rams would probably be the only team that I would classify that have won the Super Bowl over the last 6 or 7 years that weren't like based in, let's see if we can be the bigger team on the football field, right? And that's where we are right now because of the Eagles, because of the Lions, because of the Ravens, because of the Chiefs, because of the 49ers. They're all bigger type of football teams. Right? And I think that's kind of in vogue in the NFL right now.
DraftKings Sportsbook, your home for live betting. New customers can bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Just download the app and use the promo code UNBUTTONED when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook.
The crown is yours.
All right, baby. Oof. We did it. Woo, man. That was work right there. It was more work putting the mock draft together, though.
I didn't do anything. I just was here to help you go through it.
You were great help. Thank you.
So here we go. So how accurate do you think you will be, and how will we judge this? Right.
I don't know.
So per fantasypros.com last year, the most accurate mock draft last year was perfectly predicted, meaning the exact player at the exact slot and team, just 9 picks in round 1.
Yeah.
So if you get 9 of these right in round 1, I'm going to say you won.
I'm definitely. I feel like
5.
5 or 6.
I mean, 3. We're pretty sure 3 is going to be right.
I feel like this is a year where the top 3 or 4 picks feel pretty chalk.
Yeah.
And you can get off to a good start there. But then who knows where it goes from there. Yeah. Once I get past 5 or 6, I feel like, okay, you've done a pretty good job here as far as trying to predict this. It ain't easy to do.
No.
That's for sure.
But it's a good exercise and instructive on how these teams may be thinking.
Definitely. It's a great, and the teams are doing the same type of things, trying to figure out how this is going to fall out.
They're doing their own mock drafts.
Yeah, they play out different scenarios, right? I have those conversations where, like somebody will go, like, yeah, we've played a few scenarios where we could see this guy being on the board when we don't think this is going to happen, but, again, like we said to start the show, 1 or 2 off the board kind of weird picks, and all of a sudden, Derwin James is there at 18. Holy shit, we thought he'd be gone in the top 5, right? You just don't know. And that's what's awesome, and that's why we'll be in the barn having fun. But Wednesday, we're going to have a little Ask Me Anything. We're going to have like little draft props with Jay Croucher. I think we're going to do a little bit of like say it out loud, things we've heard a little bit where people say things about players and you're like, wait, what you're saying doesn't match up with where you're going to rank them, high or low.
Yeah. So
we'll have a little fun with that, but you know where to find us. Wednesday, we're back here, right here on this desk. Thursday night, yeah, it's barn time, right? Ahmed's going to swear. He's going to drink a lot. He's going to totally lose control. Probably not, but I will. All right? That's what I'm there for. All right, everybody. Be good. Peace out. We'll see you Wednesday. Clap it up. Thanks for watching Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Hey, just because the season's over, it doesn't mean we're over. We ain't going anywhere. The NFL never dies.
We're staying right here. Hit subscribe. We got every NFL move. We'll react to that. Plus, Chris has got 4,719 draft prospect profiles to do.
Thanks again for watching. Subscribe. You know where to find us. Peace out, homies.